Excellent. Perfect. So those of you who don't know me, my name is Emma, and I created this project with the help from my amazing mentor, Peter. And this project is a mobile app called Finsight. I created the logo and the name myself. So the name is a wordplay on the phrase finance insights, or Finsight for short. And as I go through my project, you will kind of see why I chose this. So just to give you a little bit of context, this project is a startup idea from UX3. The goal is, the idea is a mobile app that shows how extra mortgage payments reduce term and interest. So I started my project with a deep understanding of the problem and the empathize phase. I conducted a desk research, user research, which included user interviews and online survey. So if I were to highlight one most important insight from my user research, it would be that mortgage challenge is psychological, not just financial. Because this is one theme that just kept showing up. Users kept reporting the mortgage that felt like daunting, the feeling of long-term debt. And it was really interesting that this kept showing up, and this is something that I wanted to remember as I go with my project. Even when I was conducting a user survey, at one question I asked users to rate what they find most challenging about a mortgage. And I found it really interesting that they rated the monthly payments actually at the bottom of the list. And one of the top 3 things that I found the most challenging was the feeling of long-term debt, understanding the terms and conditions, and the lack of visibility into the progress, which I found to be really interesting insight. So based on the market research and based on my user interviews, I was able to create and define a target audience, which is William. So William is a 36-year-old homeowner from Dublin. He's only a couple of years into his mortgage. He got a mortgage 5 years ago, and he's interested in doing overpayments. He wants to pay a little bit more towards his mortgage every month, so to shorten his mortgage timeline. But he doesn't know where to start, and he doesn't know how it works. He finds it very interesting. This quote is directly from my user interviews. So he says, being able to see how small changes could benefit me in the long term, it will be a huge eye-opener. This is William. So he wants to set up mortgage repayment. So he wants to pay a little bit more extra month, but he's kind of struggling with decision paralysis. He doesn't know where to start. He has too many options. He has no clear path and has no guidance. Now, at this point in the idea stage, I was already looking and kind of brainstorming. So if I were to kind of highlight one of the most important insights, it will be from how might we exercise, which is how might we help William visualize long-term financial progress so that he feels more in control. And finally, prototyping. So by this stage, I had already had a few ideas. I already know what I wanted to do and accomplish with my project. So I wrote them down because I wanted to remember them while I move into the design stage. I wanted to have empowering language. I wanted to show clear path and impact. I wanted personalization, progress realization, and finally, human-centered design. So finally, we come to this testing stage. So in testing, I started to refine the solutions. So I conducted a total of 3 rounds of usability testing. I was testing as I was developing the prototype because I wanted to get as much feedback upfront as possible. The testing included a total of 7 participants. Some of them were mentors, mentees, but also friends and family. Some of the participants had a mortgage, some participants didn't have a mortgage. And this kind of like interesting variety and mix of test subjects gave me some really interesting feedback. So for the first round of usability testing, I tested a low fidelity prototype with 2 participants. This was very early in the project, but I was testing lots of ideas. I was looking at kind of financial goal setting, insights, tips, even a little bit of gamification, milestones. So here, the most important things I learned and what I iterated was the feature prioritization. So because mortgage is a very, very complex subject and there's a lot of things to think about, at this point, I just had to prioritize my features and create a clear path of what I wanted to create. So I'm just gonna here show you very, very shortly this was my wireframe. So connect your mortgage, you connect your mortgage safely, and explore now. When we go into the app had a mortgage journey, and it also had habit-based savings. And you'll be able to kind of go into a mortgage calculator where you'll be able to kind of calculate extra payments. There is a payoff comparison, tips, strategies, and also around some savings, around habit-based savings. So we have my timeline, the payoff timeline. Here we have some milestones, for example, like 25% paid off, coming next, mortgage calculator. Now, for the second round of usability testing, I tested mid-fidelity prototype, again with 2 participants this time. And so what I found here that users struggle to find the main features, and I wanted to kind of focus more on those main features, make sure they're visible up front and the users will be able to find them. So I'm going to guide you a little bit through this as well. So this was a mid-fidelity prototype. I didn't focus too much on the design. I just wanted to test the actual features, which was really nice because it kind of helped me to iterate on ideas very quickly and kind of discard something that I didn't want and just finalize what I wanted to accomplish from my app. Perfect. So this is one insight that I found really interesting, something that I changed that I want to tell you about. So this is how it looked before. So we have a mortgage calculator, we have a calculate your impact and potential savings. So you would just put in, for example, the amount of one-time loan payment, and the app would just tell you how much time, how much years you would save, and how much interest you would save. So here I asked, one of the tasks that I have asked actually my participants is to find and explore strategies, which we can see here at the bottom. And lots of users were struggling to actually find this feature. So when I did the improvements, I changed. So I made the impact calculator. So I made it kind of collapsible, so that only if users click on extra monthly payments and put in the number, they would see their potential savings, which kind of made it a little bit nicer to see. I also changed the titles, so I made them bigger and more visible, which now ensure that when the users open the app, they'll be able to see both features straight away, where before they had to scroll down to kind of find the feature, which is explore strategies. And for the third round of usability testing, I tested the high fidelity prototype with 3 participants. And there was lots of interesting feedback here. One that I want to mention is that users struggled around financial jargon and just understanding the mortgage terms, which is something that kept coming up as well in my research, in my user research and online and interviews as well. And here, what I'm going to show you now exactly what I changed. Let me show you the prototype first. So here, a little prototype was a little bit coming together. I was looking more into details. I was exploring how it would look like, and here, perfect. So this is how it looked like before. This is just the home page. So here I asked participants, again, the task was to set up mortgage repayment using calculator. And this is how it looked like before. So this is something I came up with. It was kind of like to nudge users. It says this feature, it says just €50 more per month could help save years of your mortgage and explore. But I found that this didn't work. And actually users didn't know that this insight actually led to the mortgage calculator. So what I did instead, I actually use the word calculator, for example, and I use the button calculate repayments, and I created an icon of the calculator, which introduced this mortgage calculator, which is a main feature, and introduced this feature straight away on the homepage, so the users were able to kind of straight away know what the app is about, what they want to accomplish, what is the main feature. And this I found actually helped users kind of understand straight away, okay, this is a calculator, I have to calculate my impacts, and I know exactly where to click to kind of to get to that endpoint. So more what I found was a lot of things that I changed. A lot of things I changed was around just around the language. For example, before it said explore more strategies, and here I had just an overview and a section of strategies. For example, €50 per month will save you this much interest, this much a year saved. And I found that because this is a very technical term, strategies, users didn't really understand what it was. So I kind of made the language more friendly and something that is very, very recognized, for example, like popular. And I also added a subtitle that I actually introduced this section. It said pre-calculated plans. So I also I replaced the word strategy with the word plan, which is something everybody recognizes, and it's just much easier to digest and understand. Again, here we have the same. So I had the title where it said your strategy, and then I had the big button that said activate your strategy. I fixed this by creating overview, your new payment plan, which is again some language that we all know what it is about. It's not technical, it's not jargon, and just confirm instead of activate, which is as well just made the language very friendly and easier to understand. Another thing that I want to talk about, what I wanted to focus in my app was just kind of the human-centered design. So instead, when it said the mortgage calculator, I changed that to say mortgage. And I also added some empowering language, which is a timeline planned is a future claimed. Here we have before where it say how much time you save, how much interest you save. So I kind of changed that. I added a little bit more human-centered design. I added some icons. Some fun, colorful icons, and also a text that says, imagine what you'll do with all that extra time and money. And finally, I just want to tell you a quick overview of my main feature, which is the mortgage calculator, which is what I've been talking about. So I wanted to show the clear impact of this extra mortgage payments. I wanted clear data based on those projections, exactly how much you would save. I wanted like popular or recommended plans, and again, empower language. Perfect. And now we have William. He's not struggling anymore. He was able to use the app to set up mortgage repayments, and he's now a confident homeowner. He's not stressed anymore. He's not facing with decision paralysis anymore. He's using the Finsight app, and he's very happy. And he was, because the app was helping him actually save money and reduce his mortgage term sooner. And I'm just going to show you a quick prototype of how it looks now. So this is Finsight Finance Personalized. So I go through the onboarding process. We have some language empowering. For example, like track your mortgage, achieve financial freedom faster. But I also have an exact explanation of the app, which is kind of like more direct, which says safely connect your bank. Again, empowering, see how small changes today create big wins tomorrow, and then get personalized insights, which is exactly what the app does. So first, I went through the process of choosing your bank. This I actually added only at the end in the last prototype, because I found that users were really struggling to understand kind of, okay, how does the app know my information about my mortgage, my bank? So I decided to actually go through this process. It was really interesting actually to go through this. So choose your bank, log in. You'll be redirected to your bank secure login, continue, and bank connected successfully. So now we arrive to the home page. So we have a quick overview of the mortgage, how many years we are in the process, and there's just like a small gamification element that says new milestone. You have a 5-year anniversary coming up. And like I talked about, we have a mortgage calculator straight away, which is introduced on the main features, so the users will know. And at the bottom, we have your saving insights, which is a secondary feature. That is not the main one, but still I want to kind of introduce. And if we click on calculate repayments, we're going to get to the calculator. So users will be able to choose between monthly or one-time payment, or they can look at popular or the pre-calculated plans. For example, the first plan is called aggressive. If you pay extra $500 per month, this is how much years you would save, this is how much interest you would save. Now I'm just going to click on monthly. I'm going to just choose, for example, 100 euros per month, and I will be able to see exactly what I save. And I'm going to click continue because I want to continue with this payment. Now this page is just a quick confirmation. So we have an overview, which says your new payment plan. So you're paying extra every month 100 euros. Again, on this page, it's very simple. This would require a lot more overview, exactly what the payment does, the new timeline and everything. At this moment, I only included first payment date because there's a lot of things to think about here. So I just wanted to keep it simple, and I'm going to click confirm. I saw the overview. This is what I like. A new payment plan successfully activated. Perfect. And now just for conclusion, I want to mention limitations. So there was a learning curve. So mortgage is not something, mortgage terms, I had to kind of learn myself from the start. I had to understand before I was able to actually design for this. And there is a lack of direct competitors as well. I found that it was really tricky to kind of think about this mortgage and this mortgage path because I was not able to look at any competitors. There are a lot of apps that focus around setting up mortgage, from the start, help you find brokers and help you with the process. But there are not a lot of apps that help you after you already have a mortgage, kind of manage that. And those apps do exist. They're very kind of dry. There are all numbers. They're very complex, and they mostly just calculators, just payment calculators. And it's also like a very complex, very complex team. And there's lots of things to think about. One of the main learnings, so I find it interesting that I kind of had like a knowledge bias. So as I was learning about the mortgage, I introduced into the app some terms that I learned myself. For example, what if calculator. This is something that I learned because I was actually reading about mortgage and how it works. But then usability testing proved that users actually didn't know what this was, so it was really interesting. I used some visuals to convey meaning. For example, like when I added icons, I saw the users much faster understood the whole process and what it meant. For the future work, so I would really love to see how the app develops more in personalization, more gamification, and this is something that I wanted to do from the start. But I had to kind of focus on the main feature instead of kind of this nice to have features. And it would be really nice to see as well how it looks like after you have created the new path and just the new timeline, and how I would be able to kind of present this with milestones and just kind of nudging the users to keep using it. Perfect. And before I kind of conclude, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to my amazing mentor, Peter. You really helped the whole time, and I want to thank the mentees as well and everybody who participated in the usability study, and the mentors as well, especially those who participate in the user interviews, and to Valentina as well. Thank you so much, and that's it for me.
That's amazing, Emma. Oh my God, you almost made me cry now. That was great. That was brilliant. I do remember, like, at the beginning of the round when I handed you guys the brief and everything, I really didn't expect that something so big will come out of it. And I'm amazed by the work that you've done on this. And as you said as well, like, it was a huge learning curve from you. You had to learn everything about the mortgages and everything. But I love the way that you approached the project. Also, like the way that you approached the testing. You split your testing in 3 different rounds, and it was clear actually why sometimes you kind of need to approach testing in that kind of way, because it, like, I think in your when you tested your mid-fidelity designs, you kind of noticed what was wrong with the feature, that users couldn't find the feature, which is exactly what you want basically from that kind of a testing. Like, you want to focus on the journey, and then your high fidelity, like, you fixed your jargon. And I think also when we saw the presentation yesterday from Claire, she also emphasized the importance of UX writing, and that's something that is coming across more and more often with all the kind of AI lingo and everything. It's really important to kind of continue using users' language, which is really, really important. And yeah, great story. I love William, and I really empathize with him, and a great presentation and a great work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Valentina. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Emma. Anyone else? Oh, Alessia.
Yeah. Hi guys. Sorry, just came back home. I'm gonna be super quick. Emma, I saw your project pretty much since the beginning, and amazing growth with that. I'm gonna echo here, Valentina. So I'm not gonna say much more new, but really, really well done with the way you strategize around how to conduct a usability test. That very clear and defined step of what you actually wanted to find in each individual phase. It's astonishing because it really shows how clear you were in what you wanted to get, and not starting immediately with like the full detailed prototype really helps in many circumstances on keeping focus on what you wanted to find, in this case like the features as you mentioned. Also really well done with the storytelling. We need people who speak for the users. We need people who talk about the story of the user, and having a presentation where you actually say the user is now happy. It's actually amazing because it kind of allows people to feel the progress as well. So really, really well done with that. There may be like many more feedback that I can give you, but that's the most important. And so well done, Emma. It's been an amazing project to see. And yeah, again, I'm repeating myself. Very well done.
Thank you, Alessia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alessia. That was great. Dave?
Yeah, hi Emma. Congratulations. That was really good. Really, really comprehensive. Like you worked really hard on that, and I love the way you went from paper prototypes into wireframes, into mid fidelity, into high fidelity, and testing all the way along. Great attention to detail as well. Even went into like to branding, and as Val said about the UX copy, it's great to see people kind of focusing on that level of detail. It's really strong. And like I said it last night, the standard this year has really, really impressed me. It's like professional, like, as good as any of the mentors would do, I think, so well done on that. I also like the comparisons, and we saw a bit of this last night, the before and after. I think it's a really good way to tell the story, and you can see very, very clearly the improvements you've made. It's a really good way to present your work. But well done, really, really good, very strong.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Thank you.
That was great. Thank you so much, Dave. Peter?
Hey, yeah, thanks a million. Emma, that was brilliant. Congrats on a really good presentation. Just in terms of working with Emma, it's been a pleasure because right from the start, she was so keen and enthusiastic. She was basically telling me at the start what we were going to do, but like her skill set is really well formed and mature in terms of UX chops already. And I think that was evident in the process that she showed. I even have some notes here just from looking at the presentation because I think it improved miles from what we talked about the other day. Like I loved when you talked about your prototyping goals, what I want. That was really good because it gave us a clear indication of what you had taken from your research and what you were planning to do. So I thought that was a really nice line to say what I want. It was very clear what you were going to do, what was your goal. There were also a lot of whys in your presentation, which was good. You explained a lot of your rationale. So I think that's really good. Maybe next time just time it out so you're a little bit tighter on your content you're presenting. I think some of the time it was a bit repetitive. We got some of the prototype a lot. So you made your point and be ruthless, let's move on to the next thing. But overall, like it was a really good project. You worked amazingly hard. So really proud of you. Well done.
Okay, great feedback. Thank you, Peter. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much, guys. And yeah, I just wanted to say as well, I do remember in the beginning, you also mentioned just one thing that I forgot to say. I had it in my notes, but you mentioned about like habit tracking and everything, and you briefly touched base on that in your prototype. But just make sure that in your case study, you just like dig deeper into that because it is a part of the brief. You had it in designs, so yeah, it's just a matter of kind of mentioning it a little bit more. But yeah, all in all, great project, Emma. Well done, both of you. It was really great to see you both kind of working together in a really, really nice way. So yeah, well done.
Okay, great. That's a good idea. I will do that. I will. Excellent.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Emma. Florence, you ready?
Yes, hello.
Yeah.
Yes, I am. I will share my screen.
Perfect.
Can you see
Yeah, we
my
can.
screen?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Well, hello everybody. My name's Florence, for anybody who I haven't met. I'm going to take you through the project that I've been working on the last few months, which was for BHI, specifically on their help and support page. So BHI are Ireland's largest and most experienced provider for health insurance, and they hold the largest market share of 48%. I'm going to take you through why change was needed, what the users struggled with, and how the new structure has improved clarity, speed, and confidence. So in terms of the brief, they split it up to what BHI were looking for and what the users were looking for, and it was specifically this screen in the center. They pointed out that the links weren't clear, making it hard to scan. The cards were overloaded, meaning it was cluttered. The horizontal layout meant the stuff on the right-hand side was often overlooked. The long questions were cramped, poor readability, and things weren't grouped logically. So my goal was basically to simplify the structure, make an improvement on scanning, and make the whole experience just a bit clearer. One of the things I want to point out that I'll talk about throughout the presentation is one of their key success metrics, which was to locate the correct information within 1 to 2 clicks. So for the research, what I did was, sorry, I think this is a little bit laggy. What I did for the research was 6 interviews with people from aging 20s to 70s, 2 surveys, 6 usability tests, and some desk research. And everything came back validating what was in the brief, but it did have 2 additions as well. So one of the things was that users found it quite difficult to actually find the page. All of the 6 people couldn't find it. This is just a bit of a map of the usability testing and all the misclicks. And the second thing was actually all of them managed to find the right information within 2 clicks or less, but it did take them on average 1 minute and 41 seconds. So I changed the success metric to be under a minute. So quickly tell you about Mary. She's the persona that came through. She's a low to mid tech confidence user. She is a little bit familiar with tech, but she does rely on her kids quite a lot of the time for new technology. And often when she does stuff on her own, she might call a lot of the time just because she's not confident that she has seen everything or done something correctly. This then helped form my problem statement, which is that she finds it difficult to find the help and support page and efficiently find the relevant information once she's on it, which prevents her from confidently resolving questions on her own. From this, I pulled out 5 how might we's and then sketched out some crazy 8s. It being a solo project, I really wanted to make sure I wasn't kind of pulling through any of my bias with what I thought might be the best way to go. So I went back to the brief and pulled out some of the key factors and used them as kind of a scoring guide. So is it easy to scan? Does it reduce clutter? Is it accessible and logical for the low confidence users? Next, I'm going to show you the current pages, just so you have a reference point from where I kind of started. So the left-hand side is VHI's homepage, and the screen on the right is their help and support page. So you've got the 11 grid boxes, and then the contact box, and then the download call to actions underneath. And then the last page is actually one of the topic pages. So this is an example of the payment. It's a long list of accordions, then with a long form underneath it as well. So I went through a number of iterations, kind of going from what it currently is, and then I will take you through what the testing kind of brought back and how it improved each time. So the first thing I wanted to really look at was the navigation issue. So all 6 of the usability tests came back not being able to find it. 4 out of 6 of them actually first tried to log in, which was quite surprising. So that kind of pushed me to add the help center button just at that top nav. I did also include them in the menu drop downs because a lot of people looked there as well. But as you can tell from the screen on the right hand side, this still wasn't working. It was too card heavy. It was having scanning issues. The grouping was unclear. The spacing and readability were still causing problems. So I then also needed to look at information architecture. So I did a hybrid card sort, and this started to help group the topics and highlighted some areas of confusion. So what I did was I actually reduced the cards from 11 till 6 because these are the frequently asked question topic cards, and then separated the ones underneath, which are more information topic cards. And what I also did then for the information pages was I grouped the accordions with titles just to help with that overload of scanning. So there's still room for improvement here. Obviously, the structure wasn't there, the cognitive load and the groupings were not hitting it quite yet. So I moved on to the next kind of iteration, which is a little bit closer to real world. Obviously, I gave it a little bit more context. I added in color and spacing, which aligned with what the brief was kind of pulling out, which was exciting. But I really needed to test what the grouping titles were and some more of the layout. So with this, I was able to increase some of the spacing and the readability, strengthened the visual hierarchy. And this worked because users were actually able to scan through things. The vertical structure made it easier for them to navigate through everything. With the less elements, it actually meant, and more logical groupings, it meant that there was quite a significant drop in the time spent scanning, which was great. And this is the last iteration where I had these help kind of call to action buttons in the menu drop downs. The last iteration where I had the form and then also these call to action buttons. So this is where we were at now, which is the high fidelity, and I can take you through these different changes. But from here, I removed the drop down call to actions just because throughout all of the testing, it wasn't ever looked at because of the top nav call to action, which was great. I added in a branded hero banner on top of the pages because throughout VHI's website, they do use them quite often. So I wanted to keep it consistent for their users. I replaced the long contact form on the topic pages with this kind of card with the call to action on it. So if they do need to reach out and ask a question, they can do it directly to that. And then I moved the app call to action buttons to the footer where they do belong a little bit more. So one of the things I haven't spoken about that was in all of the other iterations is this search bar in the middle. So it's dynamic autocomplete kind of search bar. It's dedicated just to the homepage. It is separate from the top nav search bar. It was a winner throughout all of the testing. Even with less links and information on the help homepage, the search bar did enable people to kind of scan quickly through the topic titles. And if they didn't make kind of a mental match with what they were looking for from these titles, they pretty quickly went straight back up to the search bar and was able to use that. So this change didn't just allow users to find the information within 2 clicks or less. It also reduced the time spent looking for the information to under 45 seconds, which was huge. So I'll just do a quick prototype walkthrough. So this is all the same to how VHI currently have their homepage. We've got the Help Center call to action just up here at the top. We've had the banner, the search bar with the popular searches underneath. We have our 6 topic cards and then the how to get in touch. So if we go into claims, you can see here we've grouped then the accordions to making a claim, anything about decisions or refunds together, the documentation, and then anything that might be to do with maternity and overseas. And if we go back to the homepage of the Help Center, if you want to look up what TRS is and you're not sure where to find that, you can type it in, you get the recommended searches, and you click on it, and it will bring you straight down to the section with the accordion open. So this is how this will be moving forward. I want to also note I didn't forget about mobile. With mobile, it did pretty much stay the same. I just added in the hamburger menu drop down the Help Center call to action beside where Contact Us currently is. And then on the home help and support and the topic pages, it stayed pretty similar to what desktop is, bar the fact that this is now a single column layout for the topic cards, and everything else stayed pretty much the same. So what is coming up next? It's to ensure that the search bar actually works as needed, because there's nothing worse than a search bar that doesn't currently work. Update the top nav search bar. So this was a big thing that I found in the initial testing, that users were going there and starting to type, and some of the older, lower confidence tech users need to look at the keyboard, so didn't see that when they clicked the space bar, no results just came up. So it needs probably something to consider looking at. I need to update the language across VHI to Help Center. So I also noticed there's quite a difference in language. So on the page, it's called Help and Support, but in the footer, it's called FAQs. So just kind of trying to make the language consistent throughout would also help. And then to build out the forum page and to do more tests on mobile. So in terms of what I learned from this project, I guess it was to start testing earlier and to keep doing it. It will always help and make things easier. My assumptions aren't correct, which tends to come out with most projects, but I guess just to make sure that I'm designing for their behaviors and not for the intention. And then also the simplification, the space, and predictable patterns had the biggest impact in terms of reducing confusion and time for those low confidence users like Mary. And then removing things can be just as valuable as adding things. So just taking things away, the clutter, the overload actually made such a difference in terms of time for people to find the right information. And then lastly, that AI is my useful assistant. It was helpful throughout. I didn't use it a whole lot in previous projects for different reasons, but Dave was great in kind of encouraging me and telling me how I can best utilize it throughout my project. And it was really insightful and really beneficial. So that is everything. Thank you. And if you have any questions.
Wow, that was brilliant, Florence. Thank you so much for that. That was great. And perfectly on time as well.
Oh, good.
Peter, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. Florence, that was great. Well done. And I had been lucky enough to be in some of the sessions earlier on in the cycle, so I'd seen how this has kind of changed over the few weeks. Really liked your call back to the brief to mitigate your bias. Really clever. It's just really good to call that out. Your highlights on the points on the visuals was really useful for us, just in terms of a presentation tactic, just so we can see what you're talking about. That was good. And look, it was really polished. Again, the standard of work is really high, and I love the way presenters, and you reminded me of this, Florence, have just spoken with confidence and articulated their design decisions along with the rationale. And Florence, you did that really well. I don't think we have to worry about AI taking our jobs. The threat is closer to home with all these new mentees coming out of the UX3 mentorship. And then really good observation about removing versus adding. Yeah, that was solid. So yeah, well done. Great project.
Bro, thanks, Peter. Appreciate it.
Very good, Peter. Thank you so much. Dave, can I come in before you? Yeah. No, yeah, I have a few notes here. I'm really glad to hear, like at the beginning when you said, like, you kind of went outside the brief because you noticed that users couldn't really even find the page, where on the brief we actually focused on users who find the page, what issues they're facing with. So I thought that was brilliant. And, like it really shows, like, a proper way like designers should think as well. Like, it's not like we shouldn't box ourselves into what the brief said and what the, like, what even we find in one of the testing. Like you had like 6 interviews, you had 2 surveys, you had so many rounds of usability testing. It really showed your dedication and everything. You really wanted to make the best out of this project, which is amazing. You had like the branding was on, the solution was very neat and very good. I love everything, like from the process and to the final solution, and also what Peter said at the end when you concluded with kind of removing things. Also, it does take a lot of experience to actually realize that, like, less is more. And, as designers, like when you kind of just start designing and everything, you're tempted to just add more. But then, like, the beauty of design is actually when you just leave the things that are only necessary. So that's a really good point. But yeah, all in all, amazing project, loads of good work. And yeah, thank you so much for this, like, really great presentation.
Thanks, Valentina. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Flo. Dave?
Yeah, hi, Flo. Well done. That was brilliant. The standard of work continues to be very high with you as well. So you worked really hard, and it shows. And I really enjoyed working with you. I'll miss our weekly catch-ups. But I think you've got a bright future ahead of you. You're smart and extremely capable, and I'm really proud of the work you've done, and you should be too. So VHI should hire you. I can talk to Val about that.
Yeah.
After the call. Well done.
Definitely. As soon as we have a place open for you, Florence.
No pressure.
No interview. Definitely, we'll have you, if that's okay with you, we'll have you presenting in front of our teams at any point. Like if December is too busy for you, we can move it to January. But I would really love the wider team to see your solution, because I think it is brilliant. And also the way that you approach the project is great.
Absolutely. I'd love that. Thanks.
Perfect. Niamh, sorry, I didn't ask you in the previous. Did you have anything to add or anything that you would like to say to the guys? Move on.
Not at all. Just to say congratulations so far to the two presentations that have happened. They've been absolutely super, and I'll say a few words at the end. But no, really, I mean, amazing, absolutely fantastic work, and really well presented as well. Yeah, super.
Perfect. Thanks, Niamh. Great. Thank you so much, Florence, one more time, and Dave. Matt, are you ready?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Cool. I'm hoping that you can see the screen there.
Yeah, we can.
So hi everyone. My name is Matthew Crow, and my mentor is Jeremy. So just a quick brief about WealthBridge. So WealthBridge is a hypothetical B2B financial wellness application, kind of API designed to support employees in managing their mortgages and personal finances while providing value to HR by fostering a kind of happier, less stressed workforce. So what is the project about? The hypothesis is that financial well-being is connected to workplace performance and talent retention. So the aim is to create an engaging solution that encourages employees to save and then reward them as they achieve their own personal financial goals, while also providing that value then to the employer in the form of, as I said, a less stress and more productive workforce. So the framework that ended up using was the design thinking framework, and it was chosen as it was an iterative process, unlike more kind of linear frameworks maybe. So moving into the empathize phase, we had the competitor analysis. So examining competitors both inside and outside of the financial banking space, and what I was able then to identify tangible kind of UI elements such as your visual feedback through graphs, motivational kind of tone of voice, that's evident there in the likes of Revolut savings goals and Equinox, which is a kind of fitness platform, and then the micro animations. So also in the empathize phase, conducted user interview findings with working professionals, as well as the HR manager, leaning in from the HR manager point, from a business point of view, to kind of get a better understanding of if they had any pain points, to see if they were easily incentivized, and it was clear that employees were motivated and that motivation increases, especially if there's kind of employee or employer incentives there. And HR professionals also saw the value in using the app. As I said, it was hypothetical app, so it's good to see that that point of view. They did highlight potential barriers such as your costs and your integration with the existing software, and as well as that the main one would be around data security. So moving on to the define stage, then we had the narrowing of the scope and focusing on goal setting. I know that is extremely narrow, but it was to allow me to create a functional prototype within the time frame, and that could be tested. Then also in that define stage, we had the definition of the personas. So persona 1 is a working professional who would like to save for a mortgage deposit, but maybe they struggle to reach the long-term savings goals. Maybe they're not, it's not satisfying as hitting the smaller goals along the way. and maybe currently using multiple apps to try and budget, the likes of Excel coming to the fore there. Persona 2 then again is from the employer side of it. So a HR manager who would like to introduce a tool. Maybe she sees that her workforce or her colleagues are kind of stressed, or she feels that they're overwhelmed with their finances, and she'd like to introduce a tool then that'll improve workforce productivity based off that. However, again, as alluded to in the employees phase, she sees the concerns around the data privacy, the costs, and whether or not the application or the API would be widely adopted. So then, based off that information, moved into the ideate phase. So you had your user flows. So this is just a sample user flow. So how someone might set up a savings goal with savings directly deducted from their wages and deposited into a savings account. And then an alternative flowed in where maybe the user isn't as happy about giving out their information. So it's more of a manual process where they deduct their wages or percentage of their wages and manually track it within the app. So based off those user flows, wireframes were created to outline where content would be placed and what needed to appear on each page. The frames were built using a 12-grid system and based on a 8-pixel spacing grid as well for vertically. So the high fidelity designs then were created based off of those wireframes. So incorporating colors and icons and imagery for more kind of polished look. And yeah, the full flow should be there. I'm just going to run you through that quickly. So this was the flow that was tested on users. So I was able to get 4 users in total. So this would be the example if you were coming from if you hadn't set a goal before. So you have your active savings goals, your completed savings goals, create new savings goal. So you'll have your select company contribution. Company can contribute based on the amount of years you've been working there. So 1 to 2 years is there. If you're employed 3 to 4 years, you might get a bit more company contribution, 6 or 7 and so on. So select tier 1. So you name your goal. Your goal is safe with us. Your employer can't see the name of and type of your goal. It was something that came up in the user interviews. You know, they were worried about their data. So for this instance, anyway, we might you can select an image. You might want to check or add in a holiday, for an example. So Amsterdam 2025. How much do you want to save? Simple enough. Your 2000 or adding tags in there just for ease of use. And then your monthly contribution. So how much would you like to pay each month? Monthly contribution, and then you can slide that based on however many months you want to repay that back over that 2000. So then you're left with a confirmation message. We set a goal of $2,000 and completion date March 2026, and then your company contribution rate was supposed to be 10%, I think, but it's coming up as 2% there, so a bit of an issue there. But so then this is what it looks like then when when it is to be tracked. So you've saved 0%, estimated completion time, edit, pause, and remove, because life gets in the way, things happen. You might not be saving for a holiday 2 or 3 months in, so good to have that. And then just quickly from a employer point of view, probably should have preloaded this, but yeah, we just have, oops, not connected. Yeah, so I'll just show you the employer dashboard very quickly. So just like looking at the analytics there, the number of sessions, the to kind of adhere to the adoption rate or look at the adoption analytics. So back into presentation then. So the usability testing was conducted on the savings goals setup flow, which I just walked through. All of our users were able to successfully complete the task. However, some issues were noted regarding the font size, the disable radio button states, and certain wording on the confirmation pop-up. And then based on the feedback from the usability testing, the high fidelity designs were refined and ideally would be tested again to uncover any other remaining issues. And then the next stages then for this project include retesting the high fidelity prototype with recent iterations, exploring additional flows, potentially more kind of complex ones such as setting up mortgage goals or manual savings goals, and then further developing the employer dashboard. This dashboard should be probably reviewed and tested with HR managers, and then additional testing to see if there was any more pain points. So that's it. Thanks. And if you have any questions, I'll now take them.
Wait, I'm looking for a reaction here. Thank you so much, Matt. That was brilliant. Thanks so much. We don't have Jeremy on the call here tonight, but we have Peter who will speak first.
Yep.
Yeah, unless Dave wants to go first, I don't mind. Yeah. Well done, Matt. That was another really good presentation and another solid project to round out the night. I think you demonstrated a really good process, and I like how there was a sense of connectedness throughout. So you led us through all your activities. You know, it made sense, the sequence of them. I think what would have helped me on the human side was just a little bit more emphasis on the persona at times, just to kind of sprinkle in that human piece that would have made it more of a story, let's say, that we could connect to. However, I think the way you rationalized some of your design decisions was really good, and the UI itself looks really well designed, simple and clear. UX writing again is clearly really important, especially for a project like this. In general, it was really good. It seemed like, without actually going into it, there was one modal, I think, where there was probably too much information, and maybe have a look at the level of content in places, because, you know, if you're presenting to the user with such an already confusing or kind of difficult topic, it can be overwhelming for them. But look, it was really good, and you followed a really nice process and told us how you did it really well. So congrats.
Yeah, thanks, Peter.
Very good. Thank you so much, Peter. Dave?
Yeah, hi Matthew, how's it going? Well done. That was really good. I really liked the way I don't think we saw many user flows from other people, so it was nice to see that kind of thinking, and you put a lot of work into kind of making the journey more efficient. But I'd echo what Peter said just about, yeah, the human element was missing a little bit. It'd be good just to have a picture of your typical user in my head while we go through the user flows. And you probably have them done, and look, it's you have 10 minutes to present something that's taken you 3 months, so it's a little bit unfair, but unfortunately that's just the way it is. I thought the UI was really good. I thought it was really clean and simple. There's great attention to detail, like your eye for spacing and everything was really, really good, I thought, as well. There was one little bit where I think there was a slider for the number of months you want to reduce your payment or something like that. And I just wondered, would people find that confusing? I was just wondering if that happened in the testing at all.
It was probably the one part that I got one user, all right, that said if there was a better way to visualize that, just around even like, and I knew it was more around the text size itself, like your 8 months, your 9 months.
Yeah, I think it's probably a combination of the text size, and maybe you probably need something over it just to give it a bit of context, because you have monthly repayment and the amount 222, but there's nothing to say, you know, choose how many months you want to apply this for.
Yeah.
It just it lacks that bit of context. But that, I mean, this is only small stuff. I thought it was a really strong project. Well done.
Cool, thanks.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Dave and Matt. I do remember when we kicked off with this round, you said in one of the breakout rooms, I think you said like it's important to be better like 1% every day. And I think the difference between this, obviously, like it's a full project and everything, and what you kind of, you know, your idea that you came up with at the beginning, how to solve the problem and everything that you got in the brief, it's such an improvement, and it's like so much hard work for this very complex project, and also like the fact that you actually came up with designs for both employee and employer dashboard, like that's brilliant. I really didn't expect that. Brilliant work. UI is amazing, and wait, hold on a second. Yeah, I thought that like what the guy said about the user and everything, like if we put that aside, I thought your storytelling skills are amazing as always. Like I think you showed that in all the presentations that we had so far. So I think also the way that you approach a project, also when you explained, like, you know, when you started explaining like it was done on a 12 grid, sorry, on 12 column, so like you know, like you showed confidence, like this is your project and you own it. So brilliant work. Thank you so much for this. Like it's amazing.
Cool, thanks very much.
Sorry, Jeremy couldn't make it tonight, but yeah, it was a pleasure, guys, to see all your presentations tonight and yesterday. And as the guy said, like the quality of the work is just getting better. And again, I'm going to repeat what I said last night, but this is not like junior design work. This is a proper design work from designers who are working well in the field. So thank you so much for everything.
That's terrifying, isn't it?
Yeah. I think we all learn from you guys, and I assume that you also learn from each other. And mentors, thank you so much for all the lovely feedback and everything, and also from tonight and last night. This session is going to be recorded, and we'll be voting for the best project, best research, best presentation, best prototype, best mentor, and best mentor and mentee duo. So make sure you vote. I'm going to put out the survey tonight or tomorrow, but anyways, just make sure that if you haven't, you watch everything. And yeah, once again, thank you so much for sorry, Alessia is not on the call, Hannah or Ricardo, but Neve, in this round we had all our projects were basically real life projects. So Ricardo brought in the project from New Zealand government, Alessia brought one from Grid Finance, Hannah brought from Teneo, and then we had 2 UX3 startups and 1 project from VHI. So all the guys worked from real briefs with real constraints and everything. And you know how difficult it is to work, you know, inside the constraints. The easiest thing is just to design something from scratch with a like $1 million budget, but we don't have that. So it was brilliant to see how you guys worked and made something with, like, you know, because it does take, like I think Emma, you showed in your designs like your kind of, you know, prioritization matrix and how you put like your value and effort. So it's really important for us as designers to also think about the effort that we're putting into something, because sometimes, you know, the deadlines will be tight, there will be loads of constraints from technical side. So it's great that you're already thinking in that way. And that's what makes the difference between junior and more experienced designer. So thank you so much. Neve, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thanks, Valentina. Well done, guys. My goodness, what phenomenal work. And I know Lisa, my colleague, Lisa Giringelli, attended last night, and she was really blown away with the standard of the work. And I think there's 2 aspects there. It's the work itself, and then it's how you present the work, which is also critical and crucial. And I think all those points around, you know, timing and how you create the story are really important, because oftentimes, as you know, in real life, you know, if you get 10 minutes to pitch something, the reality often is you may only get to actually speak for 7 by the time people have interrupted you with questions, or things get, you know, meetings get, you know, are running late. And so it is a real skill, but it's a really important skill to be able to get that message across and get what you need to convey across in that point in time. So that you did really well. And I thought it was really clear. And as somebody who isn't a UX designer, like, it was really clear for me as a user to understand what you were trying to create and put together, and 2 hugely important topics and two hugely pertinent topics. If we take finance as one topic, including all of the well-being piece that goes with that, then Matthew as well, and health, you know, and two very clear needs in the market. I would absolutely love that mortgage mortgage one, having had conversations myself on the phone with people in mortgage companies who can't actually explain to you what the difference might actually be. So having had that frustration, I would certainly welcome an app that could do that for me. So I thought it was a really, really super job and beautifully presented. And I'm delighted to hear that all of these are live projects, because I was thinking as I was going through, I hope that you've all had conversations around minding the work and being able to find a channel for that work that you know serves you in your career as well. So I'm delighted to hear that there's, you know, hopefully a facility around that, but really, really super project. Something I did notice, and it's maybe just something to think about, was just around the personas. I did notice that the two mortgage holders were both men in their 30s, I think, if that's right. Just something to think about there. And then the HR manager was a woman who's 52, and I suppose it just threw up this piece for me around persona in terms of reality, because there are real demographics and real profiles out there, and the majority, in my experience, of HR managers, for example, are women. But there's, you know, persona versus stereotype, and where does that sort of start to yeah, you know, and it's hard to know, and sometimes I guess it might be depending on the client to which you're pitching and the world that they're operating, in, and maybe you have to have a couple of options there that you can slide in and out depending on where you're, you know, on where you're going. And even maybe the 59-year-old woman with the low to mid tech, you know, maybe that's something just to think about there too. And I appreciate these are all based in research and all of that, but just something kind of looking at that cold as an audience, it did just strike me there as you know, where are we nowadays, you know, with some of these things. But that's just a feed forward in terms of an observation for me as you move forward. But really, absolutely fantastic. We have our graduation on the 15th of December, so that's Monday week in the Spencer. So I'm hope as many of you as possible can make it. We're really looking forward to meeting you all in person and being able to celebrate together and to congratulate you in person and properly. So hopefully we'll have a nice time that night and maybe get a chance to chat as well. But really, absolutely phenomenal work. Congratulations. You should be really, really proud. And to the mentors as well, like absolutely amazing result again from another wonderful, wonderful cohort. So yeah, super evening, really enjoyable.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Niamh. That was great. And thank you so much for organizing the graduation for us. We're really looking forward to seeing you all in person, guys. Yeah, the guys will be working on case study now. So they have 3 weeks before they need to submit the case study. So guys, if you have any questions or anything, do reach out through Slack. And that's it. Thank you so much for sharing your work.
Well done, everyone.
Yeah,
Well done.
thanks everyone. That was great. Thanks
Thanks,
Val.
guys.
Well done,
Thanks,
guys.
Val.
Thank
See you in a couple of
you.
weeks. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.